Now, if this doesn't look like what doesn't look like if this doesn't look like Consumer Reports Lawrence Livermore Lab, NASA, whatever, I don't know what does. This is how I'm going to do my little test. So I've got all of the pens ready to be tested. They're up there and they're down there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my fancy chart and move this debris out of the way so I can show you my chart. I'll make it right in front of you. I thought I would actually use an old leather-bound Dietz and Field book for my notes, but who knows where that is in my house. I know there's, at some point, anyway, I've got my slide rules there to check my calculations. Everything's all ready. So I've got 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 4 or 5 Schaefers. I've got 2 Wall Eversharps. I've got Parker 21, Parker Duofold, Parker 51, and whatever. And I have some predictions, but I'm not going to voice those for you. So here we go. First of all, we'll take this pen, which is not in the test, and we'll write the name of our test. What do we call this test? Desk pen test? How's that for descriptive? Super duper desk pen test. Why can't I get this thing right? We'll call it super duper desk pen test. Oh, we have to give it a number. Number 265A-X. There we go. Now it's official. So my plan is to do the following. I'm going to write down the name of the pen, and tomorrow morning I'm going to make a little check mark to see if it works. That's all. And if it doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do. Throw it out the window. So let's start with this one. Let's do it by rank. What is this pen? This is a Parker pen with a Schaefer nib. How about that? Is this even part of the test? Is this? Well, I guess so. Parker Duo Schaefer nib. Why I have this here, I don't even know, but it's part of the test. Check. Done. Parker, where's my other Parker Duofold? Maybe that was the Parker Duofold. The nib isn't important here really, it's whether it flowed or not. Okay, this is a Parker 51. Parker 51. Check. That worked. You saw it. Parker 21. Check. Right now, only the 51 I don't have a base for, but okay. Any other Parkers? Nope, Parker. Should I put all the Parkers up on top? Or is that going to be too controlling of me. What are these shadows from? Oh, that. Dough. Okay, Parker 21. Where are we? We're going to Eversharp. Eversharp. These are Parkers. Eversharp. Green. Check mark. Eversharp. Eversharp. Black. Very wet nib on this one. On both of them. Working. Okay, now the final ones are Schaefer's. Now these are all in, well, obviously they're different pens and different holders, but Schaefer. Is this the only brown one? Brown, yes. Check. See, it worked. Okay, Schaefer. Okay, oh dear. Schaefer. God, I've got too many Schaefers in my test. Well, whatever. Schaefer. Black with green. Oh God, there's oval. God damn. Green oval. I've got two. Oops, that one's drawing. That one's. Snib. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this one out of the running. Just because the nib is bent. Never mind. Schaefer green with the green oval. Okay, that, oh, sorry. That's the check mark it has. This is Schaefer black. How many black Schaefers do I have here? Schaefer black, okay, that's fine. Fine, fine. And now finally, my final pen in the test is a Schaefer Triumph. Now this one also has to, I have to unscrew it from the socket. So how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 and 5, 9. 9. There are 9 pens in my test. Now, and then the Wool Eversharp has a little place behind it or on it where you can put your little envelopes from your correspondence. So that's where that thing will be hid. And I will ignore it for 24 hours. Look at my clean desk. It matches my fingers. I love when my furniture matches my fingers. You know, it's like, you know, dames aren't the only one that have to deal with coordinating your accessories, your purse and your belt and your shoes, lipstick and fingernail polish. Men can do it too. Inky fingers, inky desk. Oily fingers, oily car. Dirty underwear, dirty socks. Dirty mind. That's it. Dirty. See, dirty equals men. I had a little fracas. Should we call it a fracas? With someone who posted something to the effect of, in a marriage, a woman is to be subservient to a man. And I took a little tiny bit of offense at that. And I'm not a woman. I am a man. But I just thought, this is the 21st, what century are we in? 22nd? What are we? We are in the 21st century, for God's sake. We're supposed to know better. And there are some people who believe those old-fashioned kinds of things, which I think is kind of sad. And I commented back saying, is that how it's supposed to work? I'm glad I'm gay. And he responded, something equally awful, I thought. Can you be gay and not be obnoxious? Like, who flung the first obnoxious bomb, I wonder? It certainly wasn't me. Yes, a man is in charge. It's called manning up. Women do it reluctantly. Well, if I were a woman, I wouldn't want to man up either. If that's the standard. Anyway, we kissed and made up. After a fashion. Why am I mentioning? Oh, men. Men can be dirty. Dirty minds, dirty fingers. I'm making sweeping generalizations as well, as you can hear. You heard me make them. I made them. I will own them. Part of why I'm making them is because I think it's clear that I'm doing it with my tongue in my cheek, whereas this other person was doing it for real. This is another 45. I'm trying to like this pen. And right now, oddly enough, the ones that I like, the 45s that seem to make me smile right now, more than, well, let's just do a test for God's sake. I have both of them right here. Bless. Get out of my way. Out of my way. Things. Let me see if I can take this nib out. Okay, what's the difference between these two? Yes, one is a desk pen and one is not a desk pen. I'm going to take this nib out because it's broken, bent. I'm going to find another one. I'm going to put this unscrew without breaking. I unscrewed one of these things, forgetting that I shouldn't do that, and the little front part broke off. That long thing underneath did not break off, so I broke it. So let's just see about this. I haven't played with one of these pens in a long time, but this nib, can you see it? It's bent downward. So I need to see if I can fix this in my little burnisher. But I'll wait. I'll do that on another episode, because I also have this 51 nib. You can even see it from, look at that. It's forked tonguedness. So sad. But the iridium is there, so I don't know how that happened. I'm trying to imagine by looking at the wreckage, the debris field, how that possibly could have happened. I have this weird fascination with airplane crash movies, shows, and I find them perversely interesting. Okay, so I've got these 3 pens. One is a flighter, one is a standard one with a plastic barrel, and one is a desk pen. And in this one, I just, as you saw me, put the nib in so it doesn't have wet doodles on it. Now, what is the difference between these? Come on, Pierre. They're both equally long. They're all equally long when posted. This one, start with this one. This is the one that I'm having the hardest time liking. It's just so light. And I think part of it being light here is it's a little heavier on this end. So it's vaguely, in my mind, if nowhere else, vaguely is sort of lifting off the page. Feels very light. This one, because of the barrel being heavy, because it's made of metal, this one doesn't, well, it's not as light, obviously, because it's a heavier pen. If I had my balance out, I could prove it to you. But I think even you can figure it out, you over there. This is more comfortable than this one. But this one is kind of I don't know, there's something about the lightness of this and yet it doesn't have the heavier thing added to the back. The weight is more forward. So it seems to work better for me somehow. It's very interesting. If I could record the little messages I'm getting from one brain cell to the other, I could maybe describe the feeling better. But this feels the rightest, the most right. This feels next right. And this feels the least right. But if this had been the first pen I ever owned in my life and the only pen I had with me in my desert island, I would learn to love it. I'm not loving it now, though. One of the things, too, that I also noticed is I often put the cap on and start writing, and I realize that I'm writing on the side of the thing rather than the nib. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why I put the cap on in the wrong orientation to do that. I don't do that with a 51. I don't do that with a regular pen. I always have the clip lining up to the top of the pen for any number of reasons, but one of them is an obvious reason is I like to have all of the little metal bits all lined up. You know, it's pretty. And the lever and the clip and the top of the nib. But on a 51, you only have the clip and the nib that you can barely see. But I don't have I always manage to do that correctly, and I don't know why. I don't know how that happens, but it does. This one I tend to maybe have to pay more attention to what I'm doing. The other reason I do that, it's not just for aesthetics, but if I put the clip upside down like that, then I've got this thing digging into my skin and causing me to not focus because I've got this irritation happening. Yeah, there's something about the desk pen. Do I hold it differently? The one thing I like about this pen that I'm finding fun is this whole length of between the nib and this gold band here that allows me to decide where I want to hold it. You know, it doesn't have a small section that has a little divot where your fingers go. I have a longer play. That's kind of neat. I mean, you have it on many other pens too. You have it on desk pens, for example. Desk pens are often they don't have threads for the most part, and they have special sections that are longer in some cases. Anyway, there's again so many things about pens that you can think of other than the color and the condition and the value and when they were made. The length of section is really an interesting element to consider. How does that change how you hold the pen? Does the cap slip on? Does the cap slip on and off, or does it screw on and off? How does that change your relationship to the pen? What are you doing? How is that? Does the unscrewing and screwing suggest a sorry, does that suggest a sort of security, like locking your desk drawer before you go home from work? Is there something about that screwing that men would understand from their workshop? No, I don't know. That might really be a thing. That's one of the reasons that I really love 51s, because the sound that the metal clutch makes against this metal ring is a very distinct sound, which you can't hear because I'm talking. And putting the cap on the back of the pen is a different sound because it's the inner cap hitting this. And this is a snug plastic on plastic sound, and this is there is a little bit of a plastic on plastic that happens, but there's first this metal on metal sound that you get. And there's something very soothing or satisfying, maybe is the better word for that. Swan pens, maybe Todd pens, hard rubber era, were interesting because you screw it, and you keep screwing, and you keep screwing, and you keep screwing, and you screw it a lot before it finally makes contact. They have thinner threads that require more rotations to make it finally get together, which is really kind of neat. Other pens don't have, like this one is very worn. My threads are worn on this one. And this one, does it even have contact? It's a half a turn only, because the threads are so threaded. The threads are threaded. What's the word I just used? Stripped. The threads are stripped. And consequently, there's only 180-degree turn that actually engages them. And I would always be afraid if I put this in my pocket that it would become disengaged. So the security is not here in this pen. I'm supposed to be talking about my pen test. So my pen, I'll use this as my example. This one, the one I took out of the running, is one that's very loose in this socket. Maybe it's probably the wrong socket for it, which is fine because I took it out of the thing. But some pens do this. They are a sloppy fit, a loose fit. It's like wearing shoes that are one size too big. And they're gonna, you're gonna be running down the street for the bus and you'll look down and one of your shoes is missing because it fell off on 23rd Street. So if this does that, air gets in there and can dry out the nib, we think. But it might also do it in the other ones. Who knows? Okay. See? I match. I did this on purpose. This is so I won't offend your sensibilities of wearing a white belt before Memorial Day, It's not even 5 in the morning. I just want you to know that. I got up really early to make this test for you and to show you my filthy hands and my filthy desk and my filthy mind. The guy that I was talking about that had this idea of women being subservient in a marriage also barked back at me saying that he was not interested in what I did with what I do or don't do with my cock. Yeah, this is not safe for children. And I didn't say anything about my thingy. I said I was gay. That's the extent of it, is what I said. Now, he didn't say that he was straight, but it was certainly implied in everything else he was saying. And he also was saying, maybe when he said do or don't do with your dick, implied that, to use the vernacular, that I'm the bottom. I'd like to know, what are your thoughts? This is not, an adult is listening to me and watching me now, and if you're offended by what I'm saying, you shouldn't be. We've had a president who proudly grabs bits and pieces that belong to other people and boasts about it. Enough said. Toodaloo!